Hey guys, it's Tsukasa. I'm back, bitches. Haha. Yes, I'm back. I know I haven't done any videos since like April, and there's some reasons for that. My videos just been very sparse over the last year, and the reason for that being my mother was diagnosed with cancer. She went through surgery and chemotherapy and radiation and all of that. She's doing better now, but you know, just the last year I've been spending as much time with her as possible. And making videos like this is very time-consuming and almost the exclusion of other things. Yeah, another reason why I haven't, that's more or less why I've had very few sparse videos over the last year and a half. Specifically since April is because, well, it's been summer. It's been nice out. So we're not outside and doing things. I got a car back in like March or April, a GTI, and I've been just out driving that and going out to the track every other weekend or so, doing autocross and road racing on the circuit out here. We have a really nice track. So that's what I've been doing in real life and why the video's been sparse. Summer's starting to wane now though, and I got a little more free time on my hands, so getting back into making some videos. We're starting with, obviously you can tell, Formula 1. It's F1 2014. We'll be doing 2015, which just came out like last month, but on the PC at least, it is a buggy pile of turds, to say the least. And while they fix the bugs, and I'm sure Codemasters will continue to patch it and fix things up, but until they do, I won't be getting it. So I'll be playing the last year's. It's not that out of date. It was last year's game. It's like Madden, they come out with a new one every single fucking year. So, playing 2014. I have a steering wheel controller. It's it's an old one I've had for years actually. Played on the PlayStation with it. I got it for Gran Turismo back. Gran Turismo 5 came out. It's the Logitech G. No, it's the what's it called? Driving Force GT. That's what it's called. Logitech Driving Force GT. It has served me admirably over the years. Buttons are starting to wear out a little bit, and the motor is not quite as strong as it used to be, but it works on PC quite well. So, I don't know what difficulty I want to set it on. I just I played around with this a little bit to get the steering controls set up, because I'd never used the controller on the PC before. And at first I had issues.
The evaluation test is about to begin.
It was a mess. It did not want to work right at first. I plugged it in, Windows recognized it, and I thought, awesome. So I installed the game, loaded it up, and yeah, it did not want to work like at all. Whenever I pushed the gas, it just started to slow down randomly. It was all sorts of crap with it. The steering was very loose, and it did not want to steer properly. And then it dawned on me that I remember years ago when I got it, it came with a disc. I was like, ah, son of a bitch, that's the driver's. So I had to go find the box that the fucking thing came in from years ago that was buried, and thankfully the disc was still in that box. I installed that, and now this controller is working brilliantly. Graphics are amazing. I did play this game a while back on the I played it not very much. I didn't even finish a season on it, or a career season. On the PlayStation 3, and man, these graphics are so much better than on the console. This is amazing how much better this looks. Fifth turn. No. Just slide out. I'm not used to how the controller feels either. I play Gran Turismo all the time, Gran Turismo 6, with this controller, and it feels totally different being plugged into my computer than it does being plugged into the PlayStation. It's weird.
Well done. The evaluation test
Oh,
is
yeah.
now over.
Recommended difficulty very hard. I don't know if we want to play a career on very hard. That is kind of frustrating at times. Let's see, edit difficulty here. I want to see the recommended suggested gears. Let's see. Let's go with intermediate. So that would be like easy, medium, hard, very hard, and stupid. Let's go just hard, professional. Flashback. I want to set the flashbacks to unlimited, just for practice purposes during the practice sessions. So I can practice individual corners, get the lines right on them. Won't be using the flashbacks in the actual races though. Yeah, realistic full. ABS. I actually want that. Haven't they been using ABS in Formula 1 since like Ayrton Senna died in like '93? I think that was kind of like why he died, if I recall. I don't know. I don't know that much about Formula 1 in real life, honestly. I don't really watch it. Being an American, we don't really get it on TV here. But, traction, essentially we go with medium. I don't know, we'll leave it off for now. It's frustrating sometimes. It definitely it's a very realistic traction system with it off, very realistic. But for just, I don't know, the fun of playing the game, I don't know. I can see that getting frustrating having it turned off. I might end up putting that on medium. A full traction control is just too easy mode for a driver like myself. Alright, let's see. Let's just go with, let's see. Infinity is Sebastian. Those teams suck. Let's either McLaren. Yeah, let's just go with Mercedes. I don't want to have to race against Lewis Hamilton. He's too good. Yeah, I'll do the full season. Petronas. Every time I hear...
Welcome to the start of your Formula 1 career. Let's take a look around. This is the hub menu. As you move through the menu, the screen will update automatically. If an option needs your attention, an icon will appear above it. The email system provides you with key information throughout the season, so it's important to check here regularly. At the top of the screen is the race calendar. You'll notice that some races have icons associated with them. These indicate that something special will happen at that weekend. You can view a guide to each circuit by selecting it in the calendar and pressing to view more information. Towards the end of the season, you may receive contract offers from certain teams. This will depend upon your performance out on track, so aim to make every race count, and you could be in a prestigious position next season. That's the key features of the Career Hub. Be sure to have a look around before you go out on track.
Alright. Australia, okay. Let's see, not good. 25 degrees Celsius. What is that, like 88 or something? It's not too hot. And nice and sunny. Nice and easy way to start the season. Alright, we're going to do the race settings. Yeah, we're going to change this for sure. Let's do the long weekend and full qualifying. Let's do 50% race distance. Parc Ferme. What Parc Ferme is the rule in racing that however you have your car set up, its suspension and aerodynamics and all of its settings, however it's set up, once you pull out a pit lane during the first round of qualifying. As soon as you leave the pit and during qualifying, you cannot change almost anything else until all the qualifying is done and the race itself is done. So you gotta figure it out like right off the bat. You can toy around with it during the practice session, but that's it. You figure out what it is in practice and set it to that for qualifying, and you're stuck until the next race. So I want to leave that on because that's a realistic thing. We already set all that stuff up. I'm thinking the 50% race distance is probably the way to go. The whole race distance has a long race, like 60 laps or something. Track info, let's see. Yeah, 29 laps, that sounds good. 28, 29, 28, 33. Yeah, that would be like 59 or 58 laps on 100%. That would be too much. And on 25%, it would only be like 11, so that's not enough. Yeah, I think that works out good. I don't know how that's going to work out for the recordings, but we'll figure that out. Let's see. I think that's everything. Let's jump into it. I guess probably break it up into like 3 episodes per race. I don't know. About to start a new Formula 1 season, according to the calendar, 19 racing. Which made the season last year, so Smash means help dominate. Yeah, you won like 4 years in a row. Yeah, but 2014 and 15, I think it was. Lewis Hamilton won both times. And that's about where my knowledge of F1 begins and ends. Just don't keep up with it. They kind of lost me when they went to the whole scaling everything back. I mean, they used to have V10s and V12s, and they were just ramping it up to the absolute maximum of what physics could handle and the fastest possible. And then, like, I don't know, I guess to me it was a few years ago, but I guess it was like 8 or 10 years ago, they just started cutting back.
Hey, welcome to the garage. Let me show you around. The car monitor provides you with important information about the race weekend. There's a lot of useful information here. Feel free to check it out later. When you're ready to go out onto the track, skip sessions, or just want to know what your session objectives are, then you just need to ask.
Yeah, one thing they've done away with, and this is not just for the game, this is like Formula 1 rules, they've done away with mid-race refueling, so that kind of sucks. You have to carry all of your fuel right out the gate, and oh man, I can't even imagine for a 58 lap, having 58 freaking laps of fuel right out the bat. That's really gonna throw things off. But I understand though. I heard that in 2016 they're gonna change the rules back to allow the refueling.
The car setup screen allows
you know what?
you to
I might not.
your car's settings. Alternatively, you can leave.
I shouldn't have went back into it. Yeah. Quick car setup. Let's see. Let's go. It's gonna be dry, so let's go with more top speed, less downforce. Probably raise the rear wing angle a little bit, give us some more downforce in the rear. Braking on that touch, roll bars. Yeah, I'm probably not going to record the practice session here then. I'm going to practice this up and try a couple of different setups with the car. Because like I said with the Parc Ferme, once I go into qualifying, I have to set my aerodynamics and braking, my anti-roll bars, stabilizers, suspension stuff, all of this, my alignments, it's all got to be set from qualifying, and it's going to go through the whole race, so I can't change it once I do that. So I've got almost an hour of real time to practice on different setup. So I'm going to do that off camera, and we'll be back for the qualifying. Alright, I'm back. I practiced for about a half hour on the track, probably closer to an hour with all the flashbacks and time rewinds. I don't think I've showed that feature yet. That is like my favorite feature of the game, really. You can flash back and rewind time by like 20 to 30 seconds and then try and do it differently. A little bit cheaty to be using during the races themselves, but for the actual practice sessions, it is an awesome, awesome tool. It enables you to practice trouble corners over and over again rather than having to go all the way back around the track to come back to that trouble corner. You can just rewind time and try it differently. Rewind, it's freaking awesome. I love it. So I did that quite a bit. Got a good feel for how the car was handling and isolated some of its trouble issues and how to correct that in the settings. Did about 10 laps, and about halfway through, about 5 laps in, I pitted and made a few changes in the settings and went back out and was able to move up to, well, first place in the standings, which doesn't mean too much because it's just practice, but you do want to be pretty high in the standings during practice because from what I remember when I played it on the PlayStation, I only played like the first 3 races, but I do remember that the AI gets way better in qualifying than they were during practice, so they're definitely going to get like 2 seconds faster during qualifying, which is going to be pretty close to my time. Should be a good challenge. Anyway, though, as far as the setting changes I made, in this episode, I'll talk a little bit about some of the settings and stuff because I'm going to be mentioning some of the terminology and stuff throughout the series. If you don't know that much about cars and racing, well, I don't know that much about Formula 1 myself, but I do know a lot about cars and racing because I've driven before. Well, of course, I've driven a car before. I mean, I've driven a car on a racetrack before and raced in real life at an amateur minor level with SCCA, but you know, I've done it before, so I know how cars handle and how to correct imbalances in real life. And it's just, in the game, it's just like in real life, the way they change stuff. But the 2 main terms that you need to know when it comes to this kind of stuff is oversteer and understeer. Now, what these are is understeer is when you're going into a corner and you're not going too fast for the corner, but the car is just not turning in. You're just not turning. It's like, what the hell? Turn, 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 and boom, you go off into the gravel a little bit and pull back onto the track. You're like, what the fuck was that? That was called understeer, and that's if you're not going too fast in the corner. If you're going too fast, then you need to slow down. But if you're going the right speed and it's still doing that, that's understeer. And there's a few ways to correct this. This is what was happening to my car and why I needed to pit and make some changes. The other term is oversteer. Oversteer is what happens when you start to go into a corner and your ass end starts to slide out and you slide sideways. Or if whenever you're exiting a corner and you put your foot back down into the accelerator and it breaks, your rear end breaks loose. That can be fixed kind of in the settings and the driver aids by turning traction control into full. But if it's still happening when on corner entry it's starting to slide out, you got oversteer, and there's a couple of ways to fix that too. Now, if you don't know that much about these car settings and stuff, you can, and I would still recommend to use this quick car setup button. It's pretty helpful and good all around. It changes many settings in the car at once, and the middle of the road is average. It's broken down into by top speed and downforce. So the more top speed you have, the less downforce you have. And well, by going to the left towards wet, you're going to have more downforce on the car. It's going to give you better stability and stick to the ground better. But your top speed is going to be lower because of all that extra downforce pushing you down, slowing you down. It's good for in the wet though. Problem is this is going to tend towards understeer. It's going to not want to turn in as well. Now the opposite direction is true in the opposite direction. Less downforce on the car, higher top speed, but it's going to tend towards oversteer and slide out easier. But today is going to be a dry race, and so we're not going to have to worry about the wet conditions. So I like to turn it up a little bit towards the dry and make it a little bit more responsive and faster. Now you saw me do that earlier, and then I came in here to the aerodynamics. You always want to start in aerodynamics. If you're having a problem with handling, go to aerodynamics first. It has the least side effects to changing, and then only once you can't sort it out with aerodynamics, then you move on to the other setting. I'll show you in here in a sec. But aerodynamics, what I did was I came in because I knew it was going to handling slight oversteer. It's going to tend to oversteer because of that. So to counteract that, I put the rear wing downforce. I put more downforce on the rear end. That's going to plant the rear end to keep it from sliding out as much. And you can do the opposite with the front. By putting more on the front, it's going to make the rear end slide out more and turn in better. So I didn't want to do that, obviously, so I turned up the rear downforce, keep the rear end planted. But this has the side effect of causing understeer. So I needed to counteract that. So I raised the front and rebalanced it. But I knew it was probably still going to give me a little bit of understeer. So I couldn't change it any farther in aerodynamics, so you have to move on to the alignment settings. And in here, you don't want to change too much. Even if you, unless you know a lot about cars, you don't want to change the camber angles. That's pretty much set up pretty well. I wouldn't mess with that unless you really know what you're doing. And even if you do know what you're doing, you probably don't want to change the toe rear. The rear toe angle is, it can cause a lot of problems and for very little reward. But the toe angle of the front wheels pays huge dividends. Small changes in here can make a massive difference out on the track. So what you want to do with this is, if you're getting understeer and it's not turning in very well, you want to change the toe out the front wheels. What this does is well, to make a long story short, it changes the angle of the front wheels, and it makes it so it wants to turn in better, and it will get rid of understeer. Now the opposite's true. If you turn down, you toe in the front wheels, it will get rid of the oversteer and keep the ass in from sliding out. So yeah, toe out makes it turn in better. Toe in keeps the ass in going out. It's kind of the inverse, I guess you could think of it. Anyway, you don't want to do too much in here. Only go up by 1 or 2 at the most. Just going up by 1 makes a big difference. So just go change it by 1 and see how it feels, and I guarantee you it will feel way different. So that's what I did. I towed it out by 1, and it did. It made a huge difference, and
Okay, guys, let's get these
I moved up
changes
quite a
made.
bit in the standings. It was like a 2-second difference. The other thing in here that you want to mess around with during practice is the fuel load. Like I said before, during this season of Formula 1, they got rid of the regulations said you can't refuel. Whenever you pit to change the tires, you can't refuel anymore. So you have to carry all your fuel from the get-go. Now, by default, in the engine setting here, it defaults to 10 laps worth of fuel. If you're only ever practicing with 10 laps of fuel, there's going to be a rude awakening on race day whenever you have a full load of, what is it, like 28 for this map? 29. Yeah, it's 29. 29 laps of fuel is a huge difference between 10. The car's going to weigh a lot more. It's not going to brake as easily. The handling's going to be totally different. So practice with a full fuel load. And it also affects tire wear. So definitely want to practice with that. Now, as far as tires go, there's 4 different types. 2 of them are for dry conditions, 2 are for wet. Now, for dry races, you have option tires and prime tires. They're kind of the other way around from what you would think. You think prime's the best. No, they're actually the worst as far as performance goes. But they have more durability. The option tires, a lot less durable, but way, way more performance. They handle way better, they grip way better. But the difference here is that, well, that's the difference. But the thing is, you have to use both. Regulations say you have to use both types of tires during the actual race. So you want to practice with both. Now, whether you start with option tires and then change to prime, or the other way around, that's up to you on race day. You can change that in the settings, but you have to use both, so practice with both. And there's a big difference. Once you go to option tires, the car handles way better, it grips way better. It's a drastic difference between the two, so practice with both. That's pretty much it. So you got 15 minutes left, but I don't want to use that up. I can skip ahead to qualifying or accelerate time. And the reason I don't want to do that is because I don't want to eat up any more of my tires, and I don't want to use up my engine durability. You see, my engine here, it's at 100%, and I've only got 5 engines. That's for the entire season, all 19 races, 5 engines to go through. So I want to conserve that. Um, and also, if you're running out of time and you really just need more practice on that lap or on that track, you can. It's a pretty neat feature here. You can go to Session Options and Restart Session. It will restart back to a full hour from the beginning of the practice. Now, you do that during the race itself too. If you're starting to lose during the race and you don't want to lose, just you can restart from the beginning of that race. But you can't go back one farther. So if you're on the race and you want to go back to qualifying, too bad, so sad. You should have restarted before. You know, should have restarted the qualifying before qualifying was over. You can also save, which is cool. Halfway through the race, you can save it, and then if you mess up, you can reload from that point. Not all race games have these type of features. I know Gran Turismo doesn't, so it's kind of nice to have that. I want to move on to qualifying, but I think I'm pretty much out of time here as far as the video goes. So we're at the end of here, and in the next episode, we'll start qualifying and do the actual race. Hope you guys did enjoy, maybe learn something. I know it was nice for me to get back into this. I'm going to ease back into it, so expect maybe 1, maybe 2 episodes a week. It's not going to be an every other day thing like in the past, because I'm just going to ease back into it. So, like I said, yeah, keep an eye out, 1 or 2 a week, and yeah, I hope you guys enjoy. Until next time, though, I hope you all have a good one. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe for more.